From a leadership standpoint, clear expectations, what is expected, but at the same time, we don't want to micromanage people. We want them to have the free will to be able to make those decisions. We encourage them and talk about where our end result needs to be. How you get there, we give them the freedom to be able to do that. And people like that they don't have to worry about somebody looking over their shoulder. And as I said before, that the most valuable asset that we have are the employees.
You're listening to Legal Skinny Podcast with Trisha Barita. I'm a 15-year licensed practicing attorney in the state of Texas. I created Legal Skinny because when I've been invited to do educational seminars on different subjects in employment law, employers and HR professionals would often ask me, where can they find out a little more information on this or a little more information on that? Look, I get it. There's a lot of resources out there, but sometimes it's confusing and people are so busy. Sometimes people have only 30 or 15 or maybe even 5 minutes in their day to devote to learning something new. On this podcast, you'll hear me have discussions and interviews on topics relevant to employers. Disclaimer though, Legal Skinny is for entertainment and informational purposes only, not meant to provide legal advice and doesn't create an attorney-client relationship. Also remember, laws change or they differ by jurisdiction. So this is not a substitute for seeking legal counsel in your jurisdiction on the current law applicable to you. Nonprofits have many of the same challenges as other employers, but also some different ones. From now on, every month, I'll be providing a nonprofit spotlight on a different nonprofit to discuss their mission, goals, and challenges. Today, my guests are Rick Wade and Donnie VanAckeren. Rick has a commercial real estate practice and serves as chairman of the board of the Galveston County Food Bank. Donnie worked years in the corporate world before taking the position as the president and CEO of the Galveston County Food Bank. I'm so pleased to have Rick and Donnie join me this month to spotlight a nonprofit that provides so much needed help to the community. We had a thoughtful discussion, so I hope you enjoy this Legal Skinny episode of Nonprofit Spotlight, the Galveston County Food Bank. Hey guys, welcome Rick and Donnie. I'm so excited to have you on the Legal Skinny podcast.
Glad to be here.
Thank you for asking us.
For sure. So I've been featuring a nonprofit every month, and I'm so excited to have the Galveston County Food Bank be my September nonprofit to feature. So can you guys each take turns telling me a little bit about how you got involved with this nonprofit and sort of what your role is?
Well, I'm the chairman of the board for the Galveston County Food Bank. I've got involved by some past board members, and they encouraged me to come on board. At first, I'm a commercial real estate agent, and they asked me to come help look for facilities for them. And then the next thing happened, they said, "Oh, by the way, let's go ahead and get you on the board too." I said, "Okay."
Sure, why not?
And they filled the application. I sent it in, and I totally forgot. About 3 months later, the chairman, T.J. Alves, at that time, called me up and said, "Hey, Rick, we approved you to be on the board." I said, "Oh, he did?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, thank you." I'm real excited about it, and really, it's been a labor of love ever since, and I've really enjoyed it. And I've been on multiple boards, and this is probably by far the best board I've been associated with, and definitely think the organization is top notch. So,
how many years was that, Rick, since you got involved?
About 4 years now.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Donnie?
So just a short version is I started as a volunteer here, heard that there was a need for people to help with the food bank, and that's kind of how it started. And we, in a very short period of time, I found myself that leading the organization. My title now is president and CEO, and I have found that it is truly true. If you find something that you love, you'll never work another day in your life. And so that, in a nutshell, says what the food bank means to me. So
I love that. That's such a testament to, all the time and the sweat and tears and everything for trying to carry out the mission. Why don't you guys tell me a little bit about the mission of the Galveston County Food Bank?
The mission of the Galveston County Food Bank is to provide nourishment for the citizens of the county, especially the ones who have need of proper nutrition, lack of nutrition. We try to stay on top of all the different food pantries, organizations that work with us on that. And we're more like the facilitator more than anything. There's numerous food pantries and organizations out there that we turn around and we provide them the resources, and they turn around and have the personal handoff of the food as people come in and register with them for it. Well, also, if someone of need just popped up all of a sudden and said, "Hey, man, we haven't been eating for a week," or something like that, they come by the food bank. We have a way to take care of them. We call emergency boxes and provide them with what they need right away. Then we kind of steer them towards one of the pantries to register for the more ongoing effort to keep them nourished.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about that. So you have a warehouse and your different facilities where you're located and how you provide, like, how do people get involved if they want to get your services, if they need your services?
I'm gonna hand that off to Donnie. Donnie has all the inside info.
all right. So to back up a little bit, our mission statement is that we're leading the fight to end hunger in Galveston County. And we like what Rick was saying is we do facilitate the distribution of food through over 80 different agencies across Galveston County. And what that means is that we partner with them and supply them with food. And then also we do have an on-site pantry right here in Texas City that we can help anybody locally. And it's kind of our training facility. When other pantries want to start new, we use it kind of as a training site for just innovative things that we learn about and things like that.
So that's interesting. So I know that both of you obviously have been involved with, previous. Rick, obviously you're in commercial real estate currently, and Donnie, you had a job obviously prior to this position that you're currently in. How is that different from transitioning from the role of being involved in a for-profit organization, corporation, or company versus the change to nonprofit? And Donnie, why don't you speak to like what that change is? Because I'm sure that was pretty different.
So, right. And as much as it is different, there are still so many similarities between the two. And I will say that one of the most valuable asset, whether it's a nonprofit or a nonprofit, are the people. Hands down, they're the most valuable asset that we have. And so one of the things is that it's the people that are different, not as much as the difference between profit and nonprofit. I think that once a person hears a story or a testimony of something that maybe happened, people have a tendency to change. Like for myself, for example, is I really didn't know that there was a food bank in Galveston County. I'd lived in Friendswood for 30 years and really never had a need or a purpose. And once I did, and I heard the stories, I quickly fell in love with the mission. And I think that holds true too, that we need to do a better job of telling our story to people out there. But the primary difference is just educating people between a corporate setting and a nonprofit. We too still have to. We have utilities to pay. We have insurance to pay, and all those things, just like a corporation. But it's just a little bit different in that regard. Is that we just don't go out to make a big, huge profit for a bunch of shareholders. We need to make a bunch of profit so we can buy food to serve our community. So more similarities than not.
That makes sense. Do you have anything to add to that, Rick?
Yeah, mentioning the wasn't aware of having a Galveston County Food Bank here. I always heard about the Houston Food Bank, but never heard much about the Galveston County Food Bank. That, to me, when I became part of this organization on the board, I made it my mission, my personal mission to the food bank is get the word out that we do have this type of organization within the county to help take care of the residents of need. I started working with more of the newspapers, magazines, and so forth. Social media, Donnie's real good at the social media part, and getting the word out that we do have this organization here and help take care of people. Now I'm starting to hear, like I said, for the longest time, as soon as I got on board, and I kind of mentioned I was on the food bank, people say, well, do we have one? I said, that really irritated me. And so, my expertise with marketing and real estate, I brought that into the food bank, and we started, getting more involved with getting the word out more. If you see our trucks now with the staff and Donnie and everybody did a great job designing the trucks with these wraps, and plus working with the Galveston County Daily News. I've been writing articles and columns for the Daily News on a fairly regular basis, and the vice chair Donnie, Armand Cantini, he also written a few articles too. We're doing a much better job of getting the word out, and that's publicity is really important for especially charities. We don't try to put as much money into marketing because that's all it needs to go towards resources. And so we've been able to touch and reach out to the media, and they helped us in turn by getting the word out without having us paying a lot of money for an ad or billboard and all that. That's something I just don't want to spend money on. I need it to go towards the resources of the people who need it and to the staff. But I think we've done a great job here, and it's getting out there now that we do have a food bank and people realize it, and they're coming around as they need to. Volunteer. We have a great volunteer program. People need to get involved in something worthwhile. They give us a call, and we'll put them to work.
I bet you will. Yeah. So that's I guess I see your point for sure, Donnie, talking about like the differences. You're still running a business to some extent but your business and your purpose and your mission, is founded in something different. And so you still have employees, right? So just like other businesses, it's just a little bit different. So how do you create that culture in the position that you're in? And, what have you found to be, successful? And what are your thoughts on that?
I heard an old saying one time that you said that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And so my philosophy to that is let's make that horse thirsty. And so the way that we approach it here is that our employees, as they interact with the clients and our other agencies and stuff like that, it's those stories that touch their heart and that makes them thirsty that we can do more and be more. And continuing education. We're constantly, in fact, we just had a meeting the other day that we wanted to select a new book as a group to study and what we could learn from that. So we do those types of things as we have regular meetings. We pray before our meetings. Things like that maybe you wouldn't find in corporate America. But then also from a leadership standpoint, clear expectations. What is expected? But at the same time, we don't want to micromanage people. We want them to have the free will to be able to make those decisions. We encourage them and talk about where our end result needs to be. How you get there, we give them the freedom to be able to do that. And people like that they don't have to worry about somebody looking over their shoulder. And as I said before, that the most valuable asset that we have are the employees. And we're not into terminating and having a bunch of turnover, as you know of, as that's expensive to let somebody go and then hire them. And so we want to develop them, and maybe they don't know a particular thing, but we're here to teach them. We want them invested in that, and so we're creating a culture that allows the freedom to learn new things and try new things, and we have somebody that's working right now in our client choice that is asked to, would we be interested in training them to be a truck driver? Well, shoot, absolutely. we encourage that. So.
Donnie's been great about letting these guys take ownership of their process, of their area of responsibility, and that's been phenomenal. And I see it in the staff when I come around and check up on things. The staff they come up, tell me, they give me ideas on how to improve their job, or the help the food bank in our assortments and loading the trucks and take care of business. They come up with some great ideas, and we all take it together as a group and start brainstorming on how we can take it to the next step. So
I love that. And it's always a good sign when an employee is investing back with you, is being vocal with you about what that is they want out of the job, what they think they could do better, and how, something that an employer could provide that maybe could help them grow a little in the position, or, aspirations as to where they want to go. So I think that's great that you guys are getting that kind of feedback, and it sounds like you're building a great culture there.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Another thing, part of it is that, I mentioned that they come bring these ideas, so you got to listen to them. And for them to understand what we're trying to do, you got to listen first and see what they have an idea. You have to have an open ear. Always.
I love that. And, you guys have touched on this a couple of times now in the last two questions I asked you about this story. Is there a particular story that stands out to you with the Galveston County Food Bank that you found moving as to how you guys have, helped the community that you're trying to serve?
Gosh, we get a story about once a month at least. Donnie can sit here and fill a book with.
I'm sure he can.
Yeah. So, I mean, the people that we serve are, there's a wide spectrum of people, from homeless to, we had a dentist that was here that, because of the COVID-19, that you wouldn't think that a dentist would need our services. Well, he wasn't able to see patients and things like that. And he has a young family, and him and his wife bought a new home, and they were really relying on that paycheck. I'm only estimating they probably had a car payment and so forth, but not a lot of big savings and stuff. And so if he's not seeing patients, he's not getting paid. And so anyway, he came through our facility, and the greatest thing was about that he didn't want to just take a handout, but he wanted to first volunteer his services and in some capacity, and then he went through our line. But and I think that there's probably more people like that than what we really know. We don't know what our neighbors may be going through, and so it's just been it's humbling. But at the same time, it's so rewarding to be able to be on the giving end to help those people, and I'm truly blessed to be able to hear those stories.
It's not that unusual to see a past client come back and volunteer. Quite a few people do that who have received resources from us, nutrition, and they turn around and come back and give back to the food bank.
Well, I love that. Let's talk about that, because really the heart of many nonprofits is the volunteers. How do you keep their spirits up? How do you keep them involved and engaged with what you guys have going on, especially currently during COVID-19? I
try to, every time I see a volunteer, I say, thank you so much for helping out, for coming in. And next time, bring some more of your friends. but they, you can see the smile and the joy on their face of them doing the good work. And I try to do all I can to buck them up and say, thank you so much. And to me, they're the true angels, of the organization is the volunteers. They could go out and go to the beach or go play golf or something like that. But instead, they're coming and spending time with us and helping us out. So they're truly, truly blessed people to me.
Any thoughts on that, Donnie?
Well, like what Rick said, they're the backbone of our organization, certainly. And with COVID-19, we've had to hold back on the number of volunteers that we could allow in the building, and so the social distancing and things like that. So long term, I hope that we've had to turn some volunteers away, and I hope long term that we can get them folks back. But they are truly the lifeline of what we do, and we couldn't do it without them. And for me, I as a volunteer, and I can only speak for myself, but I had no idea. And so whether or not I came to work here or not, I would definitely be back. And so we try and at least let all of our volunteers experience our pantry, to get to interact with some of the clients and things like that, and just so that they get to hear their stories. And we have a lot of reoccurring volunteers, especially during this COVID. We've kind of limited who we allow to come and things like that, and we're hopeful that it'll start loosening up to where we can bring in more volunteers. Right now, we still do have National Guard on hand to help and fill that void where they're at. So, yeah,
the National Guard's been godsend. They would love having those guys here, those people, and they come and they've really helped us out, especially during the peak time of COVID. They were here helping us, and especially when we had to keep most of the volunteers at home because of the lockdown. And here comes the National Guard, and they were definitely Johnny on the spot.
Okay, well, let's talk about that. So going back to March, like what exactly happened to your nonprofit? What was kind of the story of clearly you do rely on volunteers to do, quite a bit of help with some of the work and trying to get service out to the community. So, when you see this, shut down, what exactly happened in March through to now, and how have you guys kind of been able to make changes to sort of adjust with that?
Well, this is kind of like there's no, everybody has a standard operating procedure manual. We don't have a manual for pandemics, and it's something that came out of left field. But our staff is just phenomenal. They were Johnny on the spot. They showed up. They came to work. It's a rough time, and we were all worried about the increase of people coming to us for food. How are we going to meet that demand? But our patrons, they stepped it up. The staff stepped it up. It's just a whole new world. We had to learn everything on the fly, and I had to hand it to Donnie for him to stay on top of it. And there's some food banks that shut down during that period of time. We didn't. We stayed open, and that's to me that's top of the mountain right there of an organization to be able to do that during that unusual, stressful time.
So we just told our staff that we felt like that we need to consider ourselves just like first responders. Yeah. Good nutrition is just a lifeline, basic need, and people need food, and we're going to be the ones that supply it in Galveston County, and we did, and the numbers were phenomenal. I mean, one day we were going to a mobile, and I kid you not, it seemed like 7 or 8 miles long of cars lined up to get food. And I'm going, oh my goodness, how are we going to feed all these people? And one of the employees reminded me, hey, the Lord had 2 fish and 5 loaves, and he he served the multitude. So, and honest to goodness, I sent a video to my pastor, and I said, you have got to pray because we are not going to have enough food. I'll tell you, I don't know how, but the Lord turned two fish and or let me just say, turned 2 mobile trucks full of food into enough to feed an army of people, and it was breathtaking. So,
wow,
nobody was turned away.
Yeah.
So.
Nobody was turned away. That's incredible. That's special, guys, that you were able to kind of work through that and your whole team. So, kudos to you for powering through. A lot of people did, whether the government made them or whether they were just, trying to figure out how to deal with it. They did ostrich in the sand. This will all be over in a month or two. And as we know, we're still here. And, I'm, getting jokes from people saying, oh, well, we'll just in 2021. I go, and what exactly makes you think this is all over in December 31st? It's just sort of, learning to expect the unexpected, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
And I guess just kind of going with it, right? You got a little bit shooting from your hip, right?
You got to roll with it. And
we're Texans, a little bit of cowboy in there. That's all that's okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the CDC stuff, have you guys been working through all of that? I'm sure that's been interesting, especially since, in order to, serve people, you're having to sort of interact with people. How has that been going?
We follow the rules that the governor of Texas send down to organizations on how we conduct business during the time of COVID. And then we just do what you got to do and keep moving forward. We have hand sanitizer everywhere. We got masks everywhere. We make sure the drivers are wash their hands and the food prep. They're not food preppers, the sorters. Everybody stays clean and sanitary, and try not to let anybody in the door who's sick. And it's like I said, it's a new time. It's unusual. We had to learn all this stuff on the fly, and that's how we do it. I mean, you've got to follow these CDC guidelines, and that's the only way we're all going to get through this together, as a group, as an organization, as individuals. That's the only way we're going to get through this.
That's great. That's great. Okay. So what advice would you give to like a nonprofit that's starting out? Obviously starting out now is pretty difficult. There's a lot of nonprofits struggling right now, trying to work through their missions, especially, some of them where the missions are surrounding events, which is challenging, of course, right now, and trying to work through that. So, but just in general, if we, kind of take COVID-19 out of it and, someone trying to start a nonprofit, trying to have a mission, is there any advice that you would give them?
From the 10,000 foot perspective, where I'm at, you have to pull together a leadership organization first, a group of individuals, which I am so lucky to have on my board, a group of individuals that brings each and every board member brings something to the table, and some expertise, some resources, and then you go down and start having the organization below that. You need a leader, a president, whatever of the organization, and then they do a great job of pulling together a staff to understand the mission of the organization. You got to develop a good, strong mission statement first, so everybody understands what the goal is, what everybody's working towards together. And you got to do a good job of analyzing the people you bring in an organization. You don't want to bring in somebody who does not have any buy-in and who just does nothing but disrupt it. I've had experiences in all those areas like that, and it's very important to have the right people involved. And then Donnie comes on, and then you tell her how you pull together that part of the organization.
Well, as far as starting a new nonprofit, boy, know your mission. Know your mission.
Very important.
So and set it in concrete and don't deviate from it. So that would be my single piece of advice.
I love that. Don't give up, I guess. Keep
Yes,
on
ma'am.
with the mission.
Yeah. And then you're going to have roadblocks. You're going to have trips and mishaps. How you overcome that is a telling of the organization, how strong it is and how professional it is, and how they are going to achieve the eventual goals that you've laid out for it. You're going to be some rough times. You're going to have to deal with them. And how you deal with them is a telling sign right there.
I love that. I'm assuming a good team helps with that, right?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, guys, this is really, really fun. I'm so glad that we got to spotlight the Galveston County Food Bank today. Do you guys want to do the Legal Skinny rundown with me?
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll take turns. Rick, you go first every time I ask the question, okay?
Okay.
Okay. All right. So, beach or mountains, Rick?
Beach.
Donnie?
Mountain.
Ah. All right. Elvis or the Beatles, Rick?
Beatles.
Donnie?
Elvis.
This is getting good. Okay. All right. Most influential book you read, Rick?
Oh gosh, you're gonna laugh. Lord of the Rings.
Really?
really. That's my
Most influential?
well. Let's put it there. That's my downtime side of me. Now, professional side is Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. That, as far as my personal business, or my business side, the personal side is Lord of the Rings, but my business side is definitely Stephen Covey. He is such a phenomenal. He's not with us anymore, but his book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, I live by each one of those habits.
Good to know. Yes, I've read that one. The Lord of the Rings, I just watched the movies. I'm awful. I should have read it.
A dozen times over.
All right, Donnie, what's the most influential book you've read?
Well, and I referenced it earlier that all of our staff is getting together to do a book study, and it is The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. And so they got so sick of me referencing it, we're going to do it as a group. And so that today, I'm very proud of my book collection. So I've got a long list of them, but that's the most recent one.
I love that. Yeah, I've heard of that one. I haven't read it, so now I got to read it so I can and get some notes from you on that. Yeah, one of my first bosses, he just like referenced all the time my cousin Vinny as like how you learn to be a lawyer, and it was just like all the time, and I was like, oh my gosh, like. So I kind of feel for your employees there. They're probably like, let's just read this book, find out what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, guys. Rick, dead or alive, what famous person would you invite to dinner?
What?
They can be dead or alive.
I've been asked this question not too long ago, and I still stick with it. And that is George Bush Sr. I would love to have dinner with him. The guy lived history throughout his whole life, all the way from World War II to before he passed away. And he's been so much involved. I want to know with all the behind the scenes stuff that happened, or everything he was involved with. I would love to sit down and have a dinner or lunch with George H.W. Bush.
Senior. Not W.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Got it. All right, Donnie.
Well, I too have been asked this question before, and I tell you, I go back and forth on it, but bottom line is, wouldn't it be awesome? I mean, we're just dreaming here, aren't we, when you ask this question? So why not Jesus,
Why not? He's on the list. You're the first one I've had name that. So that would be an interesting conversation for sure. Okay. All right. Okay. So in 1 minute or less, what is the skinny on leading a nonprofit in today's world?
And making a nonprofit, you said?
Yeah. So what is the skinny on leading a nonprofit in today's world?
Okay. Your total buy-in. You've got to put your heart and soul into it, and go and talk about it. Go out in public and talk about it. That's, to me, that's very important for this organization or any organization.
For me, I think that it all starts with me, my attitude, and the attitude that I dispel amongst the others. There's so many highs and lows with a nonprofit, from one day to the next to hour by hour. And so attitude would be the single most important element of it. And don't lose sight of the vision.
I love that, guys. So what's the best way if somebody wants to get in touch with you, get in touch with the organization? Where should they check it out?
Well, they can go to Galveston County Food Bank.org, and we have great resources there, whether they're looking for help, want to volunteer, just anything about our organization, they can go there. For me, they can go to Donnie.GalvestonCountyFoodBank.org and email me, or they can call the food bank here and they can get the number off of our website. And Rick?
I'm public. I'm all over the place. It's easy to find me. So walk up to me, call me, 713-806-4758, and say, hey, Rick, what can I do to help? And I'll definitely put them in touch with the right person to do it, or just ask questions about the organization. I'm very free with my time and information, so just give me a call.
Thanks, guys. I really believe in your mission, and I wish the best of luck for the Galveston County Food Bank going forward, and that you can serve as many people as possible. I know you guys have high goals and want to have your reach just continue on and on. So thank you for joining me today.
Thank you,
Trisha. Thank you very, very much. We
Appreciate
appreciate you.
For sure, no problem. And so, guys, that's the Legal Skinny on Nonprofit Spotlight for September 2020, the Galveston County Food Bank. Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Legal Skinny Podcast. Do not forget to subscribe to get future podcast episodes. Also, check out LegalSkinny.com to join our newsletter and get details on all the educational resources we offer the employer. Also, disclaimer, remember Legal Skinny is for entertainment and informational purposes only, not meant to provide legal advice, and does not create an attorney-client relationship. Laws change or they differ by jurisdiction. So also remember, this is not a substitute for seeking legal counsel in your jurisdiction on the current law applicable to you.